Welcome to this first of a series that we're holding in relation to how to deal with and how to manage issues that concern you around child protection. And the first thing, so I need to say at the outset that we're running a number of these sessions that will form a series discussing every aspect of child protection from the point that we're talking about today, which is about when child protection arrive at your door, what do you do, right through to what we understand about the legal process, and then when the child is returned to you, what things do you need to be mindful of. So this is a thumbnail sketch, I guess, of ideas that we have about how you can best manage a situation which perhaps you're not accustomed to and probably aren't. So what we're going to start with today is our title, which was what do we do when child protection services arrive? How do we manage that experience? And what are the processes that we need to be mindful of at the moment they arrive at your door? I think the first thing to be conscious of is the fact that for many of us, when they do turn up, we're surprised that they're there. We're going to want to know why it is that they're there, what are the notifications that have caused them to be concerned, and we need to know whether or not we're in a position to be able to have a conversation with a social worker about the situation. Now, you'll find two things are likely to happen. Number one is there's a few things actually, but number one is they may send you a letter stating that there are concerns around your child or children and that they want you to come into the office to have a conversation with them. Now, if they do that, I can assure you that the issue that they want to raise with you is not one in which they're going to decide to remove your children or child at that point. In fact, they just want to have a conversation with you about the notifications. However, if they do send you a letter, it is important to respond to it. Don't ignore it. Don't become too fearful about it. But if you do go to a meeting with the department, make sure that you bring someone with you that understands the system, an advocate or somebody else who does have a sense as to what this system is about. Don't bring somebody along with you, though, who's just going to argue the point with the department. That will be absolutely pointless. We will do a session on how to manage meetings and so forth with the department later on. But at this particular point, attend the meeting, be pleasant with them. It's an information gathering session. They're gathering information. You're gathering information as to what the concerns are that have caused them to send you the letter in the first place. Though, if someone has, and I just need to say that if they do find out exactly where they stand in relation to these notifications, make sure that you can assure the department that whatever are the issues, they are being addressed. Do not deny that the issues aren't happening at all, because then they are more likely to dig their heels in and say, okay, well then we obviously need to do a further assessment of you. You need to give them as much information as you can. If it's a domestic violence situation, for example, you say that I'm no longer having a relationship with this person. I am actually going to get some counselling. I've got heaps and heaps of support around me at the moment, and you focus on the kids and keeping the kids safe. That's the most important thing to do, and that's about the best you can do. The second scenario is that they may arrive at your door just a couple of social workers wanting to have a conversation with you. Now, you don't have to let people in if they haven't got a warrant or they haven't got some sort of legal document to say that they have the right to be there, or that they have a section 41 or whatever it is that says that they're entitled to remove your kids. If they want to simply arrive at your door and have a conversation with you, find out what the conversation is about, why they want to meet with you at home. If you are concerned about the condition of your home, and if you think that's going to raise some issues for the department, don't let them in. If you think the house is relatively clean and neat and tidy and you can present well, then certainly invite them in to have that conversation. And as I said earlier, whatever are the issues that they want to address, then address them in the most honest way that you can. The other alternative, I think, is to be able to say to them, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, but I want an appointment with you to have that conversation, and I want someone around me to support me and advocate for me when we do have that conversation. You don't have to invite them in, and you can be pleasant with them. If they become a little aggressive or annoyed with you, then you just highlight the fact that this is your right, that it isn't about not having this conversation. In a couple of days' time, perhaps you'll be able to have that conversation with them, but not right now because you don't have anybody there to support you. It is important, though, to remember that you need another party there making notes, taking notes of what the department concerns are and your response to those concerns from the outset. Don't be caught off guard by thinking that they're the ones with the power and authority and that they can do or say whatever they want, because they can't. You do have rights, and one of those rights is to have an advocate or somebody with you. You also have a right to decline a meeting. So you can say to them, I don't want it. If they say to you, I'm going to get the police, I'm going to wait till the police get here, then the situation changes from that point on. So you could say to them, well, look, I understand that you want to get the police here, but can you explain to me why you want the police specifically to be here at this particular point in time? I've told you I'm okay about having a conversation with you. Can we do it at another time, though, when I've got someone here to represent me? And if they do insist on calling the police, which sometimes they do, they get a phone call to the police and the police turn up, then you need to ask them why it is they think it's necessary to have the police present. If there is a domestic violence situation and the perpetrator of DV is in the house, this is their justification for having the police present. But normally, if they're aware of that in the first instance, they will probably make sure that the police are present anyway, which brings us to the third point. If the police are present and they wish to have a conversation with you, then you have to have that conversation, because otherwise you're putting yourself in a position where they'll say you won't have a conversation. They will say that you're the aggressor, even if you choose not to be, and they will come in and they will just automatically remove your children. The chances are, though, that if the police are present, that they will be there to remove your children anyway. So the most important thing that I can say about this particular process is that you have to maintain your calmness. If anybody in your household becomes aggressive, that will be a stroke against you, which they will repeat over and over again. The other thing, even though you might find them hostile to you because they're doing something that you simply don't want them to do, namely removal of children, you must ensure that under every circumstances you do not become aggressive, or anybody in the household that's there at the time becomes aggressive. The moment you put a social worker or another worker offside, you are behind the 8 ball. I've known from my own experience that parents, even though it's an extremely emotive time, those parents that are able to not get, I'm not suggesting that you don't cry or that you don't express your emotions appropriately. Obviously you should. But the reality is that if you become aggressive, that they will see that as an indicator that these children should not be in your care because of your aggression. So be emotional, certainly, but do not get aggressive. Do not call people names. Do not threaten people, because that is something they will continually use against you. You have to remember, as hard as this is to understand, you have to remember that if they're going to remove your children eventually, even if they don't so at that time, the relationship that you need to build with them is going to be critical. If they see you as violent and abusive, then you're in trouble. If they see your home as being a complete pigsty and a mess and an unsafe place for kids, you are also behind the 8 ball. So Make sure that your behaviour is impeccable, emotional as it might be, but make sure that it's as best as it can be under the circumstances, so that you can ensure that the relationship that potentially you can build with the social workers is the best that it can be. Now, I know that we're not going to agree with most of what the social workers say. We probably won't even agree with the notifications that are being made. And I'll have another session later on about how to approach notifications and the best way to discuss whatever notification has been made. At this point, though, in this particular conversation, it's really about what do I do when they CPP turn up at my door and they wish to have a conversation with me, or they wish to be able to remove the children, or if they just send me a letter. How do I respond to that? The key issue is that under all these circumstances, make sure that you have someone with you to be able to hear what's being said and note take also what's being said. So stand by for our next episode, and we'll be following on from this one in relation to how to deal with the department and the processes that we would have to go through. And some of this information is vital because not many people actually understand the process. Even those people that have kind of been through it get confused by the process. So we're going to help you to understand how you can manage that as these situations arise. Now, the reason why we're doing this is that I've got 10, 15 years, I think, now working around child protection issues, and some of the information that I've got and my experiences working with social workers, given that I'm a social worker myself, I think is invaluable. I know what works, I know what doesn't work, and I've seen it all. So I'm hoping that some of this information will be of help to you. If you've got any comments about any of this, please list them in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the comment section if you're watching this on Facebook. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe to us so that you get all the alerts for some of these conversations that will be happening later. That's it. Thanks, folks. Take care of yourself and be safe.